Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa and I'm the owner of seasonandserveblog.com. Fall is in full swing and it's time to give our garden a bit of a clear out. I'm getting rid of our summer plants today, including our tomatoes and peppers since they are all done. But no worries, we are still going to do a little bit of fall planting, and today I'll be planting my garlic and I'll also be harvesting some of the final vegetables that we have in our garden, including some beans and potatoes and peppers. So if you want to see how I do all this, just keep on watching. So to start off, I'm going to clear out some of our old tomato plants to plant our garlic. And I chose to plant the garlic on either side of the trellis. I actually have two varieties, so I'm going to plant one variety on each side. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove 4 of the tomato plants that are in the way. I'm taking out the wood stakes and also the metal cages, and then I'm taking the plants apart. Now by the end of the season, I always find that our tomato plants are a little bit woody, so I don't actually compost them in our compost box or bury them in the soil just because they never really break down. So I'm just going to pull out the plants and then I'm going to put them in my municipal compost bin. Once I have all of my old tomato plants removed, I'm actually going to go around and pick up all of the little tomatoes that had fallen off, and I'm just going to put these in our compost as well. I really do like to make sure to go around and pick up all the loose tomatoes because I like to keep my garden beds really organized and I don't want random tomatoes popping up in this area next summer. I'm also going to go ahead and remove any of the weeds that are also in my garden beds as well. Next we're going to get our garlic ready. So here I have an Italian garlic as well as a large red Russian garlic. Now I picked up both of these from the store and I made sure to buy organic garlic just so that it's guaranteed to grow. So all I'm doing here is I'm separating all of the cloves off of the garlic, and then from each of these little cloves a new head of garlic will grow, which is pretty cool. As I am pulling the garlic cloves off of the head of garlic, I'm making sure to keep the paper intact all the way around the garlic clove. If you don't do this, sometimes your garlic can rot before it actually starts to grow, so maintaining that paper husk all the way around is really important. So now we're going to go ahead and plant our garlic. I'm going to space the garlic about 1 foot to 1.5 feet away from my garden trellis because I know next year I definitely want to grow some plants starting in the spring there. So I'm going to leave some space for those to grow. And then right next to it, I'll plant my garlic. So here I'm just making a trench with my hand and I'm making it about 2 to 3 inches deep. And then once your trench is dug, I'm just going to go ahead and plant the garlic. And I'm making sure to plant it with the pointy end up or the root side facing down, because the roots will actually grow out from the bottom of each clove and it'll start to form a whole new head of garlic. And then in terms of spacing, I'm just spacing them at least 4 to 6 inches apart so there's enough room to grow a new garlic bulb. Now when deciding on a location to plant your garlic, you want to make sure that the location gets at least 6 to 8 hours of sun per day and that the area is very rich in the soil. So we've amended our soil in our garden beds with a lot of compost over the summer, and this will be the perfect spot for our garlic. You also want to make sure that you don't plant garlic where you've previously planted onions or garlic or any other alliums, because sometimes this can transport diseases amongst those sorts of plants. So always pick a new site for your garlic. And then as you can see here, we are just burying the garlic. So I'm just burying it to barely cover each of the garlic cloves, and you can even see the little white tails at the top. So you don't have to bury them very deep, just a light covering. So that was the red Russian garlic, and now I'm going to go ahead and plant my Italian garlic. I'm doing the same method. I'm spacing the trenches at least 1 foot, 1.5 feet away from the right side of the trellis, digging my trenches, and then I'm nestling the garlic cloves in. Since these garlic cloves were a little bit smaller, I only planted them 1 inch deep. And again, I spaced them about 4 to 6 inches apart. In terms of watering, I don't water them at all because I live in a very wet climate, so over the winter it has more than enough water. But if you live in a drier climate, give it a little sprinkle of water every 2 to 4 weeks. And then as a final step for planting your garlic, you just want to cover it with a layer of leaves or mulch. This way it'll help the garlic keep a little bit dry but also stay nice and warm as it grows over the winter months. Next up, we're going to harvest our potatoes, and I planted some potatoes in these large containers in the summertime, and I clearly forgot about them. There was a plant in here and it was really full and thriving and even flowered, but I don't know what happened to it. It must have died and composted itself. But anyways, I'm gonna dump them out and see if we got any potatoes this year. So this first container was Yukon Golds, and the harvest on this was really bad. As you can see here, we barely got any potatoes. I think I planted 2 potatoes in each of these containers, but we didn't get that much of a return on them. So sadly, not too many good Yukon Golds. And then in the second pot, I planted some red new potatoes, and after dumping it, I was really surprised to actually see some little ones fall out. So we did get a little bit more of these red new potatoes, but they were all super tiny. So I think next year, I'm gonna try not to forget about my potato plants and definitely take better care of them. But at least we got a few potatoes, and at least we can have them for one meal this winter. Good thing we don't have to live off what we produce in the garden, because potato-wise, I don't think we would survive over the winter. And this is the overall potato harvest. This is just 1 pint of potatoes. I'm sure they'll taste really good, but I'm gonna go ahead and clean them before I bring them in for storing. Now luckily we have a lot more beans than we do potatoes, so I'm gonna go ahead and harvest these. Now these beans are a variety of mixed beans that you can't actually eat the shell of. The shell is really tough, so all you do is sort of open it and then you can eat the beans that are inside. Sort of like the same thing with eating peas. So I'm gonna go ahead and harvest as many as I can, and then I'll show you what all of our beans look like at the end. And then my final task for today is actually harvesting all of the remaining peppers that are left on our pepper plants in the greenhouse. And in here I planted some jalapenos and habaneros in the summertime, and the plants are finally done. So I'm gonna go ahead and harvest all the remaining peppers, and I have to figure out what to do with them. With the previous peppers that I harvested, I made a really good hot sauce with the jalapenos and habaneros, and I'll leave that recipe linked in the annotation above. But oh, it was so good, so I might make a bit more of that. Or I also want to try my hand at making some salted and preserved chilies, and that's an Asian condiment that you can put on basically anything, but we'll see. Maybe I can do a little bit of both. But regardless, I'll make sure to report back on what I actually make. Now that I removed all of the peppers, I'm actually going to go ahead and pull out the pepper plants. And for pepper plants, I always find that by the end of the season, they are still relatively soft. So I'm actually going to bury these in our garden bed. And over the winter, these will totally break down and will compost right into the soil. And I almost forgot about my Phileas blue pepper plant. The peppers on this are really small and spicy, so I'm actually just going to cut the whole plant back, and I'll take it inside and take off every single individual pepper. Once these peppers ripen, they are pretty spicy, and not only are they spicy, they also look super beautiful. It's like a beautiful bundle bouquet of peppers. Absolutely gorgeous. Now I am going to do a little experiment in here in the winter time, and I actually found a tomato plant that sprouted outside in my garden, so I'm going to bring it into the greenhouse and see if it'll actually grow some tomatoes this winter. So stay tuned to see how that progresses. And I'm not sure if you got a good look at Pearl in the greenhouse, but this is her. She loves the greenhouse and she loves her new sweater that we bought her. It was pretty cold, so I do like to put a sweater on her, and I think she looks so cute and she can stay nice and warm. And finally, this is our harvest. We have a pint of potatoes, lots of beans, as well as a ton of peppers, including a bouquet of Phileas blue peppers. Not too bad for a fall harvest, it's just the remaining things left over from the summertime, but they're still great nonetheless. And that is it for today's video. It was very satisfying harvesting the remaining of the summer crops and taking all of the plants down. Now it does look a little bit sad, but it also makes me super excited for planting in the spring. Now we're super lucky here on Vancouver Island, and with our mild climate we're able to grow some crops throughout the fall and winter. So I'm growing some cauliflower, some broccoli, kale, as well as some cabbage and some beets. So definitely hit that red subscribe button down below to see how my garden progresses over the fall and winter months, as well as to see how that tomato plant grows in the greenhouse. I'm really hoping that it does grow. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram for some more behind the scenes garden updates, and also check out my blog for some amazing fall and winter recipes. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.